A concession company has one employee who sells towels, coolers, and sunglasses at the beach. Each day, the employee is given enough towels, coolers, and sunglasses to last through the day and enough cash to make change. The money is kept in a box at the stand.
Okay, what's wrong with that, y'all?
That's too many responsibilities.
Yeah.
Right. Because the same person shouldn't keep up with the cash and record it. Because what's going to happen is D come through there and like, hey, go and take this towel. You going to pay for it, right?
Right.
And then two, at the end of the day, D be like, hey, how many towels you sell? I mean, you went 5, but he really did 6. So he put that money in his pocket. So in cases like that, we need to segregate the duties. And one way we can do that is saying, look here, D, you got 20 towels. And when the day's over, if you got 10 left, that means you did what? So, and then you should have money equal to 10. Also, you should also give him X number of dollars. You know how they say if you're working in a store, they'll give you, say, $15 to get started with. Mm-hmm. And so when the day is over, you should have that $15 plus what you sold, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So that's what they're talking about, that, which is just knowing how to have some accountability and a good internal control. Because people go steal. Or people, in some cases, they may be lazy through error. They may not keep up with all the time. But I can tell you that in situations like that, it is going to happen if you don't have some controls in place, okay? All right, next question, Noella.
An antique store has one employee who is given cash and sent to garage sales each weekend. The employee pays cash for any merchandise acquired that the antique store resells.
Right. Now, what should we do on that? So I'm giving D some cash. You go out and buy antiques on the weekend, and then I trust you to come back with antique products and the money. Now, what should happen is every time she buys something, you should get a sales receipt, right?
Right.
Because what I can say is, say it's Miss Dawson, I sent her out. She said, I bought this antique item for $100. Okay? She really didn't pay for $60 on it. She put 40 in her pocket.
Right.
Okay? So what we do is we want a receipt from the company. And every now and then we might want to call to verify that's what she paid for. But she should get some receipt, but knowing Ms. Dawson, she might say, look here, let me sign you 20 and say I paid 150 for this and we make both ends of the money. There's always a way to circumvent the system. But at least she needs to come back with a sales receipt for each antique she buys, and proof of where they got it from. And she should be able to have X number of dollars, and whatever she don't buy, she should bring that back, and all the sales receipts should equal up to the amount. Okay? Because we don't do error and or omissions, that may be the key. Another way is you don't give her cash. You give her a credit card. And that way it's kind of hard to steal from credit card. You can charge some stuff that ain't appropriate, but you don't always want to get cash. And then two, you can even now with the phone, like Chris is doing, you can say, hey, record what they asking for when you buy, and then send that to me. Or take, and then take a picture of that. That way you can always document what you know. And that'll stop that, okay? Any other questions on that part? Okay. What's the next one?
Cantu Company is a rapidly growing startup business. Its record keeper, who was hired 9 months ago, left town after the company's manager discovered that a large sum of money had disappeared over the past 3 months. The audit disclosed that the record keeper had written and signed several checks to be paid to the fiance, and then recorded the checks as salary and expense. The fiance, who cashed the check but never worked for the company, left town with the record keeper. As a result, the company incurred an uninsured loss of $84,000. Evaluate Cantu's internal control system and indicate which principles of internal control appear to have been ignored.
Okay. First of all, that happens all the time. Write a check to somebody who don't even work for you. And then two, she must really love that. Was a fiance or boyfriend?
Fiance.
Yeah, fiance can get you in trouble. Okay. But I'm sure she got some of that money too, right? All right. But they gonna fire her. They gonna prosecute him. They catch him, and they gonna also have bonding for the money, so they can get the money back. They may take the money, but that's what you got bonding for. And then the bonding company gonna go after you to get that product. And I actually had a friend of mine Well, she worked at the bank and the boyfriend convinced her to steal some money. She took the charge. But again, you gotta be careful. But the same person should not be able to write and sign checks for payroll people. Like in my office, I got a lady, she will generate the checks, but I sign every check. And I keep the checks locked up. Okay? So you gotta be careful of that. So again, one, the same person should be able to record the checks and have access to them and be able to sign. Two, you should have some things in place before you issue payroll checks that is a real person. And three, you want to make sure you got bonding insurance to make sure that in case you do suffer loss, you can be insured to get that money back. And then four, if you know somebody who's engaged and is over the money, watch them. They may be trying to get over it. All right. Next one.
Some of Chester Company's cash receipts from customers are received by the company with the regular mail. Chester's record keeper opens these letters and deposits the cash received each day. A, identify any internal control problems, and B, what changes to its internal control system do you recommend?
Well, first of all, anytime you got mail that's coming in the cash coming in the mail, Miss Dawson and D,
people can
you should have two people, right?
Right.
And also, when you open that up, you need to annotate on that envelope how much was in that envelope. Okay? So you got two people. Annotate on the envelope how much was in there. Keep a copy of that envelope so you can cross-reference that. And then two, that person who receives the cash should use the cash receipt journal or some log in and say, here's what we took in, and we total it up, and then we provide the documentation, which is the envelope that we have, the cash that we have, and we add that two together, and that should take care of that. But anytime that you're dealing with cash, you gotta have two people. Now that don't mean that, say for example, Noelle and myself, we open up the mail, we start dating, she like me, I like her, and I convince her to steal the money so she can take the charge. But after we get off work, we split the money, okay? So the moral story is, don't you get involved with no cash situation. If you do, tell them, I ain't got nothing to do with that, but I'll help you spend the money, okay? And that happened one time, I think in Walmart, where the guy was working for Walmart. He gave his fiance the key to walk in there and get in the safe and get the money. But they had it on camera, they seen her walking in. She told them a combination on a few people knew, so they busted her. And the fact is, Noella, she was like 7 months pregnant. So they didn't prosecute her, they prosecuted him. He was like the assistant store manager. So again, they always got checks and balances, so again, don't be crazy. All right, next one.
Good accounting systems help with the management and control of cash and cash equivalents. Define and contrast the terms liquid asset and cash equivalent.
Okay, liquid asset is like it says. You can liquidate the item pretty quickly to turn into cash.
Pay your near-term obligations.
Right. And so a lot of cases you're saying, look, is this liquid? Meaning that can you convert this into cash pretty quickly? And normally when they say quickly within, well, if it's cash equivalent, it's 90 days. But if it's liquid, it should be able to be cash that same day.
Like money orders.
Money orders, right. Now the thing about money orders, you can't cash those if you got some money to offset that, because money orders get stolen. And I had a guy, when he was in military, he was a military police too. You know what he did? He stole a money order machine. So he was writing money orders all day long. How much you need? $80. Give me 40. And in fact, when he got caught, he used that same money order machine to purchase a ticket to get up out of the country. But 8 years later, they brought him back to Germany to be prosecuted. He was like a legend. They like, man, he stole all that money, dude. And when they brought him back, he was a little bitty guy. You kind of think he kind of, big guy, but again, they catch him. And then two, cash equivalent is those things that can be converted to cash, and we said within 90 days, okay? 90 days or less, that's cash equivalent because I can convert it by then. It's gonna take me a minute to get my money out, but that's cash equivalent. And liquid saying I can get it liquid, meaning I can take it from whatever means it is to cash that day. Because sometimes you want to be liquid, right?
Okay, so is cash equivalents anything more than 90 days, right? But like, I thought you couldn't touch cash equivalents like U.S. Treasury bills and stuff like that.
No, you can. You sell those.
You can sell your bills at any time?
At any time. And that's the good thing about the cash treasury bills, right? say what happened. You buy a treasury bill, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
You pay $100 for it. Okay. You sell Noella. 2 weeks later, it's 101. You sell it to D a month later, it's up to 105. So treasury bills have a maturity date. So say it's $100,000 treasury bill, you buy it for 60. So every day it's growing toward that 100. That's what makes treasury bills easy to sell to the next person. Because what I can sell it to you is what they call a discount, meaning that it's gonna mature this, but give you this today and you got it. And that's the key. Hey, how you doing? But that's the difference between treasury bills, but they can be highly liquid. I don't know if y'all remember that movie Die Hard. They have bearer bonds. Y'all heard of that? Bearer bonds, whoever got the bond, they're yours. And that's why in the movie they was trying to steal those bearer bonds, because whoever has them, you can cash them in. And that's what it said. Whoever are the bearer of these bonds, they're yours. So that's why you keep them locked up. People can't steal them. All right? Next problem.
Why would companies invest their idle cash in cash equivalents?
Because here's what happens. Right now, when you got it in a regular checking account, do they charge interest on that or give you interest? No. Yeah. Right. So you want to have your money in something that if it's excess and you're not using, that you get some type of return on that. Interest, dividends, whatever the case may be. So that's why they're saying that any excess cash that you have, you want to be able to put it in some investment piece that's generating some money. But nowadays, they ain't paying nothing. Like they may pay you 1 or 2% annually. So if you got $1 million deal, and they ain't paying you, well, they're paying you more than $1 million, but they ain't paying you but 2%. That's 10% is $100,000. That's $20,000. Now the bank will loan the money out at 7-8%, but they only give you 2%. And that's called the swing between what they lend the money out for and what they give it to the deposit. And nowadays they just don't pay you a lot because it just is nothing great investment for them to do that, because again they saying we just lucky to pay you 1 or 2%.
What about the bonds? Right? Some bonds have like 6%. Right?
Yeah, what?
6%.
Some company bonds have like 6%.
Oh yeah. But it depends. But the percentage is based on two things: how much money you got, and how well the bank is doing. Like I had a
no, if it's not a bank, like Walmart.
Yeah, right. Because what they're saying is, we can give you 6% because we lending out at 12%. Well, banks take your money and reinvest it or lend it to somebody else and they pay it back. That's what determines what the interest rate are. So if they charge you 20% on the money to borrow, then they should pay you like 8% to let them to put on deposit. But interest rates now is based on risk, and that's why rates as far as borrowing money is low, because they're not taking no chances on risky deals. And so if I'm not charging you, like right now you can buy a house mortgage for 3%. If you told me that 20 years ago that you can get financed for a house for 3%, I say you're crazy. My mom bought that house in 1969 at 6%, which was low back then. Now we paying less than that. So again, things change, but I never thought interest rates would go down. But now if you got high risk, like in California, New York, Florida, they'll charge you 13, 14, 15%. And in some cases, your risk so high, they'll charge you 20% if you go crazy enough to do that. And a good example is credit cards. Some people pay credit cards, they pay 29% interest.
29?
29% interest. Because they got bad credit and they don't care. Other
Right.
people got 0 interest, meaning you pay your bills and we ain't gonna charge you nothing.
So it depends on your
Credit.
payment history.
Yeah, that's right. Like for me, I refuse to pay any interest rate over 12%. Because I got good credit and I pay on time. So I shouldn't have to pay 29%. But they so slick now, you can have 29%, you miss 2 payments, they jack it up to 29. But that's the key. Alright. So that's what we need about the bank. Okay, next problem.
Then it says identify 5 principles of effective cash management.
Okay. We talked about that, and those principles are